Hampton Roads has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Good Saturday morning, everyone. Coach Young missed me doing my bobbing, my dancing, my weaving, all that. And he's probably going to shake his head and complain in a few minutes. But, hey, we are on a little bit late, better late than never, right? Here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk, powered by CoVA Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe to our CoVA Sports TV YouTube channel. We're also streaming all over the web, Facebook, Apple, Spotify, IG, Twitter, X, VirginiaPreps.com, all those good things. As the coach is on assignment down in the Big Easy, hanging out on Bourbon Street. No, wait, he's not in New Orleans. He is on assignment this morning, though. Listen, if you were in New Orleans, you'd be banned within the first 5 seconds. It'd be like a 6-year-old kid running through a candy store and you say, "Don't touch." So that would be bad. We don't want that.
It's bad enough. I got to admit this. I got on late today than I should have. If I would have been the Big Easy, I wouldn't be on today. I just tell you that right now. It would have been too much.
You've been partying, I can tell. Honky tonking. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be. I'm not a drinker, but I would be partying in Vegas. Big Easy, New Orleans.
Yeah. Vegas is on the way.
I'm actually coming to you from halfway to third of the way. I don't know. I'm in Charlotte.
He doesn't know where he is, folks. That's how out of it he is right now.
Yeah, I'm not still out of it. I literally woke up 29 seconds ago. Came down to Charlotte to see the Mary J. Blige concert.
Oh,
that's one of my wives, Janet Jackson being the other. And
wait, you married to two people? You got two wives?
Well, you're allowed to. I'm allowed to. With them too, I'm allowed.
I'm leaving this alone. But go ahead, continue on.
And then last night I saw heck of a finish in the Charlotte Hornet San Antonio Spurs game.
And it wasn't even the best finish in the NBA last night.
No, somebody told me that too. It wasn't the best, but
no, it wasn't the best finish. We'll show you some clips of that.
It was good.
It was a game that had America on the edge of its seat. But go ahead.
But yeah, the Hornet Spurs game until the last 20, 30 seconds of the game wasn't an exciting game. Hornets led by as much as 16, I think, throughout the whole game. But the way it ended, it was something.
How about your Lakers, Keith?
Hey, we have to talk some Lakers stuff. The trades and whatever, and this team is still going strong. And Luka hasn't even played for him yet.
Luka hasn't. Matter of fact, NBA, ESPN flexed out of its NBA game. I think it was supposed to be last night. The Jazz and the Suns. They picked up the game for today, 4:00. Lakers in action against the Pacers out in the West Coast. And it's my understanding that there's going to be no Luka and possibly no LeBron. Nice job by them. And what do they do if the Kansas State game goes like double overtime? They're going to put the NBA game on usually they just put on another network to start, but you can't. You got hockey on ABC. You got college games all over the place on other networks that start at 4:00, so you can't bump it for the Laker game. They got a tricky decision to make if it comes to that, which we shall see if it does or doesn't. It may not.
Well, with Luka joining the Lakers, they're going to change the TV schedule. I mean, Lakers are on a lot anyways. They're going to be on a ton more now with Luka on that squad now.
Yeah, they are. But you mentioned what happened with the Charlotte Hornets last night, who ended up prevailing, by the way, for folks that did not see it. They did win thanks to Miles Bridges' 3. And then they waved off a game winner for De'Aaron Fox, right? It came after the buzzer?
Yeah, they claim it. I was behind the basket by the Hornet bench. So
wait, that was you?
Yeah, that was me.
Goodness, they were talking about on the TV broadcast this guy that was driving security nuts. He wouldn't sit down.
That was a different guy.
That was you. No, that was you. They said it was some guy named Ed. I said it can't.
I was calm. I was calm that whole game.
It was you. I'm telling you, they couldn't go. They said this guy's getting everybody's nerves. Goodness.
No, I was calm.
That makes sense.
I was calm on that one. But Fox's shot, Bridges' shot to take the lead with 7 seconds off a LaMelo Ball pass was the basket in front of me. And then with 1.1 second, San Antonio takes it out and Fox gets a shot off. I thought it was good. I proceed to leave because that place was packed. I proceed to leave because I didn't want to get caught in the craziness of like the night before in the same building, Mary J. Blige concert, where you had the place was completely full for that concert. And then when it was over, everybody trying to get out basically just two ways. That was crazy. But Fox's shot looked good. Of course, everybody goes nuts. I proceed to leave to beat everybody out. I'm like the first one out. And the big screen TV out in the area where the concession area, a lot of people were watching it out there. And I heard somebody say, no, it's not going to be any good. They're going to review it. So I stopped to watch, and they were reviewing it. And you could see the ball was in his fingertips as the clock hit zero. It hit zero. So the referee waved it off, goes back to Hornets winning. And then I flew out the door because then people started coming in droves. But it was just a heck of a last 30 seconds in the game. The beginning of the game wasn't. It was the Hornets all the way. I kind of felt bad. The Hornets, who I think they lost something like 15 in a row, were going to lose again after leading the whole game and playing fairly well. They're going to lose. I thought, boy, this franchise just has no luck. But fortunately, they did prevail, and it was one of those exciting finishes. And Fox has been with Spurs, a couple games now, and he's played extremely well for them.
Yeah, I'm glad you had a good time. But as I mentioned, and by the way, if you're still out there watching, I know you are, Keith, and we're still trying to effort getting Keith on the show with us where people can see him and hear him. Our buddy Pat Doolan is also tuning in. Smithfield AD wants to know why they haven't seen you at the Packer Dome, Keith. They're waiting for you, Keith. I'm gonna hold Pat Doolan to it. I'm gonna take from his concession stand and give you something.
Yeah, Keith, on my bill. Keith, get a hold of Pat Doolan at Smithfield. Tell him you want to sit in his box, his special suite that he has at the games, and tell him
with the lazy boy, with the recliner, with the feet up, prop it up.
Yeah,
one of those special flavored drinks that they only make for the VIPs at the game. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, because Keith, you want to get over there because I think Smithfield might cause a ruckus in the playoffs.
1,000 points last night for Jaden Wiggins in his career. Went over it last night. But before we get to all the high school stuff today, we're going to give you a chance to weigh in on your Super Bowl pick. And if anybody out there gets the score right on the nose, you're going to get something free courtesy of me. CoVA Sports TV is going to let me do this. I'm going to give somebody, it might be a Virginia Preps Classic t-shirt, but you will get something free courtesy of me. So give us your Super Bowl score pick and MVP. We'll put it up on the stream when we have time here today, or we'll check all the comments. They're on Facebook. They're on the YouTube channel. Give us your score pick and MVP. If you hit the score on the nose, you can't have it backwards and say, I got Chiefs 28-24 and the Eagles won 28-24. It doesn't work that way. If you get the score on the nose, you'll get something free from me. So there you go. That is a promise that I will keep and make and keep. But as I mentioned to you, Edward, it was not even the best game last night that you saw, because the best game came out in the desert. It ended past midnight on the East Coast. And if you saw it, it was something else. Here's a little sample of what took place.
Yeah, he's going to miss. Yeah, I would be shocked if he didn't miss this one on purpose.
Marketing.
I'm shocked.
Makes the free throw. Will Hardy trying to get his defensive pieces set. O'Neal fires over the top. Grayson gets one away. Bucket! We're tied. 122.
So in case you wondered, can you lose an NBA game when you lead by 4 with 2 seconds to play? The answer to that question is yes, because not only did Devin Booker score a season-high 47 points, Grayson Allen hit 2 threes in the last 1.2 seconds of regulation after Phoenix gagged an 11-point lead in the last 5 minutes of the game to beat the Utah Jazz 135-127 in overtime. Allen hits the three with 1.2. The Jazz see their lead get shaved down from 4-1. They foul both Devin Booker and Coach Mike Budenholzer. You know how much I love Coach Bud. Decide to argue with the officials a little bit, not too vehemently, but that they should put a tenth of a second back on because it was 0.8 when they showed it, 0.9. And Will Hardy, the coach of the Jazz, elects not to miss the second free throw intentionally. Now, I actually gave some Twitter love to our good buddy, NBA scout extraordinaire, former ODU and Hofstra assistant coach, and Franklin native Lamar Barrett. We've been having this discussion for over a month, and I'll get your take on it, Ed, with under 2 to 3 seconds to play. Under 1 second, even bigger. And the college rules and high school rules are different than pros because you can advance the ball past half court in the NBA. You can't do that in men's college hoops. You can in women's college hoops. You can't do it in high school hoops. But do you miss that second free throw? And I've always been of the opinion, if you're up 1, it's irrelevant because a 3 beats you either way. If you're up 2, you make that free throw to guarantee no worse than overtime. But after watching last night with under a second to go, I think it would have been hard to get that ball, get a timeout in, gather a rebound. I'm with Lamar now on it. I think you absolutely missed that second free throw. Nonetheless, the Phoenix Suns are glad that Markkanen did not miss the free throw, and Coach Hardy decided to have the brain freeze as Phoenix pulled out a thriller last night in the NBA.
Yeah, my first instinct is miss that. In that situation, missed a free throw because, 9/10 of a second. Of course, now it depends on who's running that clock, slow finger, fast finger. And, of course, when you're behind at home, it's a slow finger. When you're leading at home, it's fast finger. But,
whenever you're at the game, they just give you the finger. But go ahead.
That's a whole different topic right there. But, yeah, it would be better because in most ideas, it's really hard to get a shot off under a second.
Right. Now, here's the other thing. After Allen hit the 3, the first one, it cut it from 4-1. By the way, he had to get an inbound with like 2-point-something seconds. It may have been 4 seconds. I think it was 4 seconds. Yeah, 4 seconds. Get it. I wish we had that clip because that clip's even more that was even a tougher 3 because he got to dribble off and wiggled his way with his body to hit the 3. I'm not a big Grayson Allen fan, but I got to give him his props. There were 2 incredible shots. Then he hit the first 3 in the overtime. But, Ed, he used a timeout. Hardy did. You would have thought he would make Budenholzer use his last timeout because if Budenholzer had to use his last timeout there when they're it's a 1-point game, he said, well, if he turns it over, it doesn't matter. If he has to use his last timeout there, he can't advance the ball after those free throws. So then it's full length of the court to get that pass. Now, it can happen. Christian Lake and Grant Hill. Go look at that Duke-Kentucky epic regional final. But he sort of bailed out Bud by leaving him a timeout there and doing what they did. So, yeah, Utah gets blitzed. They give up the first 8 points of the OT, and they lose the game. And it was a must-win NBA spot for the Suns, minus Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal. I think they play Denver tonight. But crazy. The NBA leads are never safe. Crazy finish to that game.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it this year throughout, not just the NBA, but college basketball, football games. Leads, decent-sized leads are irrelevant to the most part if you've got shooters. It just isn't. When you got teams that are coming from more than 20 points from behind and winning, it's just you never heard of that. I don't remember hearing it so much in the past. 3-pointer does make difference in the basketball games than back in the day when you didn't have the 3. And this is why a lot of teams are loaded with shooters. And it's the another explanation. You have to play defense on people. You can't. I mean, there was a college game. Was it yesterday? Where I think it was Fairfield against Marist.
It was 2 days ago, yeah.
The kid hit it with, I think, 1.1 second from
beyond half court, yeah.
Yeah, from about 88 feet.
Yeah.
Hit a shot to win the game. So, and there was a girls' game too. almost in the same spot.
Now, let me ask you this question. You lost on one of the more epic high school shots of all time. I don't want to show it to you again. The late, great Ashley James on a buzzer beater just inside half court in the regional semifinals at the Norfolk Scope. I think was that 2019? I think it was 2019. Something like that. 2018, 2019, something like that. My question for you is, if you were up one after Jamal Boone's free throws as opposed to tying the game with his free throws, would you have instructed – or after the first free throw, would you have instructed him to miss the second foul shot? Would you tell a kid in a high school game to do that if it was a 1-point game and they can't advance the ball with the timeout? Have you ever done that? Would you do it?
Yeah, I've had kids miss a free throw because of a situation.
But you haven't instructed someone to do it. Okay.
Yeah. I would tell you this. I would, young coaches, practice it. Practice missed free throws. And the problem is you almost have to practice with every kid, because I have seen kids instructed to miss a free throw and hit the backboard, which means no time goes off. It's a violation. Ball goes to the other team. Now, they don't advance it because, they take it out underneath the basket, but have to go the length of the court. But there's an art to, believe it or not, to making sure you miss the free throw the right way. You don't just fire the ball up off there, up off the basket, because if you miss the entire rim and it hits the backboard only, because a missed free throw has to hit the rim to be considered a non-violation. So you have to practice it. But there are situations that it would be wise to miss the free throw. Now, a lot of times coaches will say no, especially my old school coaches like me, you don't miss opportunity for points. Similar in football. Do we kick a field goal? Do we not? Well, and you put points on the board anytime you get a chance to score. And same with a free throw. But if the situation warrants a miss, and there are situations that warrant a miss, make sure you have practiced how to miss that free throw. If not, sometimes you'll miss a free throw because you're down 3, kid makes a free throw, or and makes a free throw and you miss the second one or whatever, to try to get an offensive rebound and put it back in. But a lot of coaches will say, I don't trust my kids missing. I feel like it's bad karma. They're still going to score, whatever. You just have to be careful with that.
Yeah, it's a tricky spot any way you slice it. There's no question about that. And by the way, did you watch? Well, you probably saw the highlights, didn't see it. Your buddy, Mr. Rick Pitino, your idol over there, St. John's, rallying from 14 down to beat UConn, knocked the Huskies off as he is all alone by a game and a half in first in the Big East. They were down late in that game, had like a 12-0 burst, and they took care of business against the Hungry Huskies, as they once were dubbed by Kemba Walker. Brought back Liam McNeely, their fabulous freshman, and Danny Hurley went down against Ricky Pitino, who has got his team ready to surge into the top 10 next week when the rankings get redone, and could certainly be moving up to like a 3 line come next month for the NCAA tournament. And you had him in your $5 parlay to win over $100,000 that we did a few weeks ago on the show. You also have the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl, unless you get off of that this weekend, which we'll have our NFL picks later on in the program to close things up around 11:30, 11:45 or so. So did you get a chance to see those highlights at all with the Huskies and the Red Storm?
Saw the highlight. And we're talking about shooting, and Patino's team is not a good 3-point shooting team. And he made the comment, we don't have those type of shooters, which really kind of floors me, because that's the one thing.
He made the comment he'd like to kill himself sometimes when he watches his team shoot the basketball, which if again, people don't understand his wit and humor, it's in like yours, people get very offended and want to, take action, if they will. So,
well, everybody's entitled to their opinion, no matter how wrong it is. So, but I have them winning, I think, the NCAA tournament in that bet, because I needed to take a long shot. They're not going to win the NCAA tournament.
You didn't sign autographs following the conclusion of the contest last night? Am I reading that on the ticker right? What's wrong with you? You didn't sign autographs after the game? What, you going to sign autographs?
No, I try to get out of there quick, because there's a whole lot of people there.
Yeah, but there were kids looking forward to meeting you and seeing you and getting your autograph, and you didn't do that. I'm highly disappointed in you. Disappointed.
I just told him, I said, look, kiddo, I ain't got time. We got to move on.
You're selfish. You know that? You are very selfish. You were very selfish.
No, I had another place to go after the game, and I wanted to make sure I got there on time too. Let's just put it that way.
Well, but the kids were looking forward to this all year, and you end up, messing up their night.
Kids will get over it.
Wow. Look at you. The kids, they'll get over it. Okay. That's how you feel about it. We'll remember that. Hey, we've got some, as we come back from break, we've got some high school hoop sound for you. You'll hear from Ty White, Latrell Allmond, Stefan Welsh. You'll hear from all kinds of people. And I think we got another coach or two. I'm forgetting who else we've got. But we've got some hoop sound coming your way. We will dive in on the football game, the big game coming up on Super Sunday, give you our picks, including Bruce Pearl's picks, and see where we all stand for the playoffs for that. Playoffs! And maybe give Ed Young a chance, if time permits, to pick apart, which he loves doing every week, our Virginia Prep's Hoops Top 10 from last week, and see if he can make some tweaks to it for the next installment that will come out on Monday morning on the website, since we are getting closer and closer to regional time for high school hoops. And you're always welcome to interact with us on CoVA Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. But we will take a quick time out and come back with more, including some of those things I just referenced right here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. But for the time being, let's hear from some of the sponsors that make it possible for us to stream and do this with you each and every Saturday. Stay tuned.
For any athlete, making it to the top sometimes comes with a few steps back. That's why there's CHKD Sports Medicine. Advanced diagnostics, treatment, and rehabilitation for sports injuries, just for young athletes like yours.
What makes a life a good one? Is it our adventures? Or the friends we find along the way? Is it the challenges we conquer together? Maybe it's the people's lives we touch every single day. So, what makes a life a good one? You'll have to figure that one out for yourself.
As a banker at Town Bank, we believe that people bank with people, not with banks. You're looking for an actual personal relationship, and that's what you get at our bank. You get that person that gets to know you, gets to know your business, is there for you. I think that is what motivates us, what drives us. And the idea that we are trying to serve others and enrich lives, I think is very true.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
All right, here with the John Marshall Jr. and standout tonight, Latrell Allmond, 17 points, 10 rebounds, a double-double in the game-winning three here as they beat Woodside and the coaches for the Cure Classic, 50-47. Latrell, you've been a part of big games, state championships, AAU championships. To win this game on a three at the end, where's this stack up with all the performances you've had?
This is added to the collection, man. This is nothing really new for me. I'm always just out here trying to get my best and show off for my team. And today, I showed up for sure.
Woodside battled you guys tooth and nail to the finish. Tell me that last possession. Coach White didn't call a timeout. Aiden's got the basketball. He didn't know what was coming your way. What's going through your mind?
I actually kind of knew dealing on double Aiden. Just saw me just setting that ball to you because he had like amazing paint touches the entire game. He did a great job touching the paint, and that was just a good pass. That was a great pass from Aiden Algebrecht.
Knowing the competitor that you are, striving for greatness, 17 points and 10 rebounds will be great for a lot of people. Probably not the game you're satisfied with, but to come through in the clutch, how's that feel for you to step up like that?
It's amazing to come through for my team. You know, they had set in a zone whole game, so it was kind of like just trying to find nicks and cricks inside the zone to score the ball. That's how it's kind of like a low-scoring game. We kind of figured they were going to do that. So just finding the will to come out here and get a dub.
Battling against another great big man in Silas Barstow is headed to VCU. Tell me about that matchup tonight. You and Ladarius having to go with him, mano a mano. You're used to good competition, being a nationally ranked squad like you guys are, but what was that like, that fierce competitor?
Silas, he's a beast, man. He's gonna keep going and keep growing and being one of the most best bigs at VCU. I'm honestly looking forward to seeing him play there next year because me and Silas grew up playing basketball with each other up here in Virginia. So just good to see him out here hooping, but you know what's up.
Couple more, let you run. Tell me about this battle tonight here at the Packed House in Rico Sports Center, 804 versus 757. This meant a lot to you guys, didn't it?
Yes, it did. It most definitely did with all the social media, all the mano player talk. Right now, it was just really about pride, and that's just who we are, and that's just what we bring to the table every time.
Let's hit on quick one on recruiting-wise. A lot of coaches in the building tonight from different schools. What's the update? Anything new for you in terms of offers or visits coming up?
No, sir. No comment.
No comment. All right, lastly, for you guys coming up at John Marshall, you get this win. What's the next step as you guys get closer and closer to tournament time?
Who we have next? I believe that's who we have next. We're going to practice on Monday, and we back in the gym, right back at it, like it's like nothing ever happened.
Clutch team tonight for Latrell. Allmond. Congrats on the win. Thanks so much.
Yes, sir.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
What a ball game that was last Saturday night at the Coaches for the Cure at the Henrico Sports and Event Center. Our first time there with Coach Ed Young. I am Matthew Hatfield. It is 757 Saturday Sports Talk, powered by CoVA Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe to our CoVA Sports TV YouTube channel. Ed John Marshall, a winner in that game, 50-47. You got to watch the game-winning three from Latrell Allmond and hear from him. In fact, if you're just joining us now, we'll give that three-point shot again real quickly. We just heard his interview with us, but here's that three for those that just missed it earlier here on 757 Saturday Sports. So he pops out from the corner, hits the three straight away. Bang, as Mike Breen would say. Aiden Argerbright, the Richmond signee, finding him. He's part of that backcourt to go with Troy Henderson, who's going to Fordham. Ladarius Givens, a junior, headed to Mississippi State. Latrell Allmond gave us the no comment for recruiting, which was funny because he's talked about recruiting many times before with us. He's got a long sheet of offers that include NC State, Rutgers, Tennessee, Oklahoma State, and many, many more. And there are some whispers that maybe his slight by a little smidge favorite was the guy in the building watching him, Ed Cooley and the Georgetown Hoyas. We shall see. His recruiting will probably take some twists and turns between now and then. But that was a heck of a ball game. And credit to Woodside to do it without three of its better guys, MJ Montague, Avion Tucker, and then their starting point guard, Messiah Wells Stevens, who's headed to Radford. So game lived up to a lot of the hype and the billing coming in, and worth the price of admission, that's for sure.
Absolutely, and that price of admission was steep. Good sized crowd there. Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. It's a nice venue for games. Derek Fulham's talking about it. It's I think it was your first time tour in that building. Mm-hmm. I think they could do a better job with this scoreboard in terms of information than that if you want to critique it. But seating is tremendous.
Yeah. Maybe they'll have you run the scoreboard next time. How about that?
No, I'm not talking about running the scoreboard. I mean the scoreboard look.
Oh, I got you.
The generic look of it. It's a nice place. Let's put in a little bit more of an expensive scoreboard, which I know those things are, because they have the scoreboard up top of the court and they have one on the far wall.
You got a new scoreboard at the Virginia Beach Sportsplex for those that haven't seen it yet. Come on out, check it out. But okay.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. But the game.
We just did the Neptune Bowl, but go ahead anyways.
Yeah, it did. live up to the hype. The problem is, in my opinion, everything stays the same in the game. Those three kids, especially Stevens, plays, Woodside wins. Now, people will say, well, you can't do that.
I'm not convinced of that.
I preface by saying if everything was the same. Now, those kids play, Marshall plays a little different. So that's why I say it's really, when you make a statement like that, it's really hard to say. Now, I've also made statements where I'll say if somebody was playing, they still wouldn't have won. But in that game being as close as it was, that's my feel that they would win. And everybody wanted to see that battle. I think, most people say Marshall's the best team in the state by far. And a strong handful of people say Woodside could be number 2. Now, there's a lot of argument across the state for teams in their own regions. I would not have a problem putting Woodside right behind Marshall. They're 2-time defending champion. I think they're in line to win it again, third one. They have all the pieces they need. Now, we say that, and here comes Tuesday night, Woodside hosts Denby. We walk into gym late.
Hold on. You're getting ahead of yourself. Before we get to Woodside Denby, we do have on the screen there, you see. You want to hear from the head man?
Yeah, because we hear from the kids.
You love getting ahead of speeding by things. We got to take this in chronological.
My mind is always thinking a step ahead.
Yeah, you're all over the place. That is for sure.
You're behind, I'm ahead. That's why a lot of things happen that way. So
let's hear from Ty White of the Justices of John Marshall, what he had to say to us. It is CoVA Sports TV and 757 Saturday Sports Talk.
Coaches for the Cure nightcap lived up to the billing and the hype. John Marshall wins 50-47 over Woodside. We're here with the head coach, Ty White. Coach, I'm not sure you expect this to go down the wire, but my goodness, what a finish. And Latrell, Allmond, the hero for you, gets that 3. You'd like not to call a timeout. Aiden Argerbright finds him. What's going through your mind there after Woodside ties it up and you guys had the last trip until they got a heave at the end?
Yeah, we just wanted to make sure we took the last shot. Aiden did a great job of drawing, too. Found the open man. The trail was open, and he's confident. He makes that shot constantly.
It seemed like he's born for those moments because he didn't have his best game. I think it was 17-10 for him statistically, but it felt like you knew if he was going to have the chance at the end, he could come through for you. Is that what you're thinking?
No, he worked out earlier today. He's just a gym rat. He works on his craft. That's something he's expanding his game to. And fortunate tonight to win in tonight.
And I think he had a 12 for 13 game with 30+ for you earlier this week. For you guys coming in, knowing that Silas Barksdale's such a focal point for them, what was sort of the game plan and strategy to keep him from dominating? He got loose a couple times in the second half, but you kept him at bay early on after his first 2 hoops, didn't do much the rest of the half.
Silas is a good player. Evident he's going to VCU. They take on the mindset of Steph, which is hard-nosed. Much respect to those guys. They play hard for Steph, and you can see Steph DNA on those guys.
X factor for you tonight was Desmond Rose. I thought he kept you going in the first half with some of his slashes, drives to the hoop, a couple of dunks. He really was that energy spark for you.
Certainly. We weren't our best today, but Rose found a way to keep us intact. Every time we seemed like we weren't our best, Rose made a play for us, whether that was offensively or defense.
You've been doing this a long time. Championships, big games, you're used to this. High school, AAU. It's only natural for 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old kids to let down when they see a few guys aren't in uniform for Woodside. Did you sense that?
It totally happened for our guys. We had a letdown. We weren't locked in. We were just fortunate enough to come out with a win today.
Was this good to have a grind like this? I mean, I'm sure you would prefer to have won by 20, 30+ like you normally are. What do you take from something like this?
I think you just got to embrace everything, whether it be big, small, or anything. Don't take it for granted. Don't take a moment for granted. I hope that builds character to a team that showed that you can win in multiple different ways, too.
Packed house, fans from all over the state, college coaches in the building. I know this is an event that you've been a part of for over a decade plus. The Coaches for the Cure. Speak on that, and also to finally play Woodside in a game for the regular season. I know you and Coach Welsh have been talking about it for a while. What's this mean, the event, and to play them tonight?
Much respect for him. We talked about it. He was like, man, let's do it big time. He had those guys. We owed those guys, and wanted the guys to get an opportunity to play. We're the 2 best teams in the state, so it was only right we did play. Much respect for him for his willingness to play. Take his team on the road and play. Much respect for that. They're competitors, we're competitors, and we just ended up with the ball last.
And what you all do for this event, I mean, with breast cancer awareness and things like that, I mean, it's got to be touch your heart a great deal, right?
Absolutely. Proceeds benefit the Massive Cancer Center. We honor 8 total survivors today. We had it started off with a walk today. We just want to do our small part to help end this ugly disease of cancer, man. Everybody's been impacted some way by it. So we just want to do our small part today.
That's awesome. It's a memorable finish for Latrell and your guys as you win this tonight. What do you tell them as you move forward? Because the big games and the goals and the highlight matchups don't stop for you, does it?
No, we are on it next weekend. Next Friday, we have Lehigh out of New York, one of the top teams in the country. We got to be ready to play. We got to be better than we were today.
Well, congrats, man. Thank you so much. All the best.
Thank you.
So that was Ty White of the John Marshall Justices. His team outlast Woodside on a game-winning 3 there as you watched the end of it with Latrell Allmond's game winner. Ed, we'll be joined, we hope, here in a couple moments by a special guest that has just gotten back to us to come on the show, which is going to be fantastic. We'll tell you about that in a moment. But your reaction there as they were a little bit flat because of Woodside coming ready to roll without a couple of its key guys. And John Marshall last night took an L against that nationally ranked team he talked about. Carmelo Anthony was in attendance. It was at Virginia Union over there at Barco Stevens Hall. And Kion Anthony, Carmelo's son, had 15 points in an overtime win as Long Island Lutheran beat John Marshall in overtime 66-63. So you win some of these close battles. Sometimes you lose some of these tight battles too.
Well, I think with the Marshall Woodside build-up, I'm just guessing that some of the kids would figure, okay, maybe they heard that 3 guys are out for Woodside. Maybe they're going to have it a little easier, and they didn't. Woodside played a heck of a ball game. I thought Stefan Welsh did a great job of game planning and making adjustments as they needed to be made in that game. And I think Ty did also, but he had a little bit more better cards in his hand, having all his cards in his hand, to play that game. Now, you move on to that Long Island Lutheran for people to understand. Long Island Lutheran is a historic program, a very good program. If I'm not mistaken, Bob McKillop was a longtime head coach there before moving on to the college game. And they're one of those schools in New York that still has that, who's had a tradition and still has it. There's a lot of big time public schools and some Catholic private schools in New York. Strong history, but lately haven't been as good as most of the really, really good kids moving on to prep schools and that. But so that was a tough loss. Now they could have had a little hangover, fatigue hangover from the Woodside game as they went into that game that kind of hurt them in that situation, but still. You lose a close game like that. Normally, if you have some fatigue hangover, you lose the next game and you're pretty much down the whole game, or get blown out, lose by maybe 15 points. Then you can say, wow, they had a major letdown. If I can, we can reference that same idea, Woodside Denby.
Well, let's get to it.
That was Woodside's next opponent after Marshall on a Saturday. They played Denby that Tuesday. So they had 1 day to prep for Denby. Denby has been a real nuisance to some teams. Beat Hampton, played Hampton earlier in the year and lost by 1 with a chance to win at the buzzer. Beat a good Nancy River team. Denby has made notice. We're here. We got to the game a little late, and it was 11-0. And Woodside. And my first thing was, this is not going to be much of a game. Woodside really just playing great. Well, slowly but surely, here comes Denby. And they ended up, speed forward here a little bit, they ended up taking a quick lead in the fourth quarter, coming all the way back, playing great fourth quarter basketball. And tied it up in a exciting fashion. We were talking about those college pro wins at the buzzer and tie-ups. Denby did the same thing, and then they had some chances in the overtime, but the shots that they hit to get to the overtime, they did not drop. In the overtime, Woodside wins out, and we both agreed Woodside had hangover from the Marshall game. And to me, they looked tired the whole game, almost like they didn't want to be there. And
let's hear from Stefan Welsh, since our time's getting a little pressed here. Here's our conversation now on CoVA Sports TV.
All right, I'm here with Woodside head basketball coach Stefan Welsh of the reigning two-time Class 5 state champion Wolverines, a 68-66 overtime thriller against their Newport News rival Denby. Coach, the 26-game winning streak came to an end on Saturday in the Coaches for the Cure against John Marshall, but your kids battled very courageously and valiantly without three of your main rotation pieces, led by Messiah Wells Stevens as part of those absence players. But tonight, you get up early against Denby, good battle. You guys are getting a lot of good tests here for the playoffs coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. This time of the year, it's a lot of emotion. Some teams playing well and there's some teams going home. Hats off to Denby and Jay. He's building a really good program. His guys played lights out tonight and probably should have won the game. My guys didn't. We didn't execute down the stretch. We didn't finish, and that's why I feel like we lost the game against John Marshall. We just did not execute down the stretch. No matter who was playing, no matter who wasn't playing, it's always next man up. And, for these last two games, we haven't closed the way that we're accustomed to. But, the good thing is we got 4 more games to try to figure this thing out.
You were a player, so you've been in some of these battles before on the court, winning state championships twice as a player. Is it natural for kids to get up for a nationally ranked team like John Marshall, even though you weren't at full strength that game, and then you play a rival, you're familiar with them, you beat them so many times before that maybe there's a little bit of a letdown effect?
Yeah, man, it's been an emotional week for us. It's been a roller coaster. With everything that's went on, and then having to go play that powerhouse of John Marshall underhanded, and then being right there at the end, and then coming here and playing a hot Denby team that's playing really well, has beat a good Nasman River team that just beat Hampton, who won states last year. So we knew that they were going to come in and play extremely hard, and we knew we were going to have to play lights out for 32 minutes. I didn't think we played for 32 minutes tonight. We played for 24 minutes, which a whole quarter. I don't know what we were doing, and that's totally my fault, and I'm going to fix it.
People know about, obviously, Silas Barstow is going to VCU, reigning state 30-year, and Messiah Wells Stevens we talked about a moment ago. But Donnell Deuce-Jarrett, for your sophomore, is really coming into his own. He's had 20-plus point outings against both Greenwood and John Marshall, two of the best in the state. What have you seen in his growth and maturation here the last few weeks?
His preparation has changed. I always talk to him about, his preparation for the games. You practice how you play. You shoot around, you shoot how you play. And I think he's changed his preparation. With those young guys, sometimes they don't always understand, the things that it takes to really get yourself game ready. And I think over this last month, he's taken the steps in his preparation to be able to come out and be a pretty consistent performer for us. I thought tonight as a team, though, we just weren't there defensively. And that's not Woodside basketball. So, obviously, you never want to, not be happy for a win, but we can't play like that or we're going to get sent home early.
Sure. Come more, let you run. Growing pains. People forget they see the back-to-back state championships. There's a standard and expectations you've set here at Woodside, but you still have a lot of sophomores and freshmen, like guys such as Jarrett and Callan Morrison that play big roles for you, and both certainly are going to get better from these experiences, you think?
Yeah, absolutely, man. The more times that you get to play in environments like this, the closer games, the better, because a lot of those games in the playoffs, they are going to come down to the last shot, in 2 and 3 possession games. So, a lot of our games this year have been blowouts, and I think, for us to have these 2 games that we just had, one we didn't pull out and one we found a way to pull out, I think it's good for us in the postseason, but you can't play well for a whole game and lead by double figures, 26 minutes of the game and then just completely lose focus.
Sure.
But again, that's my fault and I'm gonna fix it.
Lastly, if I had told you a week ago that you probably should have beaten John Marshall and should have maybe lost to Denby, you would have said, Matt, you've been drinking something strange here. But as you get ready for the playoffs here in Class 5, which is a gauntlet, a lot of good teams, even in your region, Region B, what's your message to your kids, young guys that haven't been on this journey before and some that have been on this journey as you try to three-peat?
Man, we got to show up every possession. All the little things add up and create a big mess. And for a large portion of this year, we've been playing mistake-free basketball. Against John Marshall, Callan only had 1 turnover. And then tonight, he came back and he wasn't the same guy. But that's part of his growth and maturation process. It's been a tough year for us. With so many young guys, I think, and just understanding how to prepare. I think we're really just starting to understand how to prepare for these basketball games. And, we just got to continue to keep getting better. But you don't have a showing like you did against John Marshall, and then you come back and play a really good team like Denby, though, and then they go to overtime. We got to do a better job of closing basketball games.
Well, thanks so much. Congrats on the win, and we'll see you on the journey to the Siegel Center perhaps again in March.
So that was Woodside head basketball coach Stefan Welsh, his team surviving an overtime thriller with the Denby Patriots at 757 Saturday Sports Talk on CoVA Sports TV. That covers our high school hoops coverage for today. But when we come back, we got a special guest with us. He's a longtime NFL reporter and Hall of Fame selector. You can hear him on Sirius XM NFL Radio. He co-hosts the weekly Hall of Fame radio show. He's also part of Lindy's Pro Football Preview magazines. I've got a copy right here in my room. I'll show you it too. Does a fantastic job. Howard Balzer will join us coming up after the break here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk after a word from our sponsors that make it possible for us here on CoVA Sports TV.
Pain and Gain, your one-stop shop for all things field hockey. Located in Princess One Shopping Center, Virginia Beach, we carry everything you need on the turf, from black sticks, turf shoes, mouth guards, and much more. Try out your stick before you buy in our synthetic turf area. Pain and Gain. Embrace the pain, enjoy the game.
It's the Morning Drive with Johnny D.
It's the Morning Drive with me, Johnny D.
He's live and he's local. The Morning Drive with Johnny D. Weekdays 6 to 9 on Fox Sports 1310 AM and 100.9 FM.
CoVA Painting. We don't just paint, we transform spaces. Visit CoVApainting.com or call 757-550-7357 and mention the Sportsplex for 10% off of projects over $1,000.
And now back to Matthew Hatfield and that evil basketball coach. Blast you, Ed Young!
And we welcome you back to 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Like, share, and subscribe to CoVA Sports TV. And we have a special guest with us. He is a Cardinals NFL reporter for CardsWire, Hall of Fame selector, co-host of the weekly Hall of Fame radio show on Sirius XM NFL Radio, and the guy that puts together a lot of the preview, the picks for Lindy's magazine. I got a copy right here. He is the one and only Howard Balzer. Howard, thank you so much for spending some time with us. It's always a great weekend. Super Sunday coming up. And it's also sad, too, because football's coming to an end in the next 24, 48 hours. Howard, you got us?
Good to be with you. I'm having a little spotty internet here, I guess. So hopefully I'll be able to hear your questions.
No, you're fine. We appreciate you coming on the program today. Tell me, this is what Super Bowl for you covering? You've covered how many of them? 40 plus, I know, right?
Yeah, this is my 44th Super Bowl. In fact, the first one that I covered was in 1981, right here in New Orleans, when the Eagles lost to the Raiders. So that was number one, and I dare say that I never anticipated that 44 years later, I'd still be coming to the Super Bowl. So it's never gets old, Hat, and it's great to be here and see how this one works out and how this game goes on Sunday.
That's terrific. Now, for you, a lot of people in the media have said they've got the Chiefs fatigue. They're not as geeked up about this Super Bowl. But when you look at these two rosters, and I think, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe you had the Chiefs getting back to the Super Bowl in your preview in the magazine for Lindy's, and the Eagles, you had them going pretty far as well. On paper, is this about as good a matchup as we could have had, even though there were some that were kind of clamoring for a Bills-Lions matchup? What's your feel of the game in an overview, if you will?
Yeah, I think it's an excellent matchup. Like you said, you could have some other matchups that would be, very attractive, whether it's Bills Lions, whether it was Chiefs Lions, whether it was Eagles Bills, some of those other top teams, and even some of the others too. So, I mean, that's what happens in the NFL playoffs. You get the best teams that are there, and the ones that get this far, it's usually a pretty darn good matchup. And yes, it's a rematch of 2 years ago, and you mentioned that fatigue. And I think, those are just stories, and that's just opinions and all that. And I'm sure there are people say, oh, my goodness, here we are with the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes again. But I think you have to marvel at this franchise's consistency and what they've been able to do. I mean, when you consider making 7 consecutive AFC championship games, that's phenomenal. And I think there should be, and I'm not saying there's not respect for that, but I think then it goes beyond it and saying, oh, we wish we had somebody different here, other different players to talk about and all those things. But, hey, it's the championship. Whoever gets here earns it, obviously. I know that sounds cliched, but that's the way it is when you get to this point in the season. And I see no reason why it shouldn't be a heck of a game, similar to the one 2 years ago when it went right down to the wire and the Chiefs won 38-35.
Yeah, and KC erasing a 14-24 10-point deficit at halftime in that game a couple years ago. Howard, before I let my co-host, Coach Young, jump in here with some questions for you, I want to know, there's a lot of interesting matchups in this game in terms of subplot segments, this offensive line, how they block the defensive front, what the Chiefs will do schematically against Saquon Barkley, what Philly will do defensively to try to slow down Patrick Mahomes. For you, what's the most fascinating matchup within the game here?
Well, one of them, and it's one that, I don't know if fascinating is the right word, and I know a lot of people don't talk about it all that much. You hit on it in terms of how many times do we hear games, NFL games, or all football really, is won in the trenches, right? Then the game plays, and all they talk about is the quarterback, and they talk about the running and all those guys. And you don't hear anybody say, boy, that offensive line did a really great job. But that's really what decides these games. And what's interesting to me when you talk about matchups is 2 of the better defensive players on both teams, Jalen Carter of the Eagles and Chris Jones for the Chiefs, both interior defensive linemen who both have the ability to wreck games. And so I think those are definite matchups that are interesting to watch. But, beyond that, obviously you mentioned Barkley and the Eagles have to find a way to make sure that he doesn't wreck the game with big plays. I mean, heck, we saw that in the one playoff game when he had 205 rushing yards, and I believe it was something like 140 of those yards came on 2 touchdown runs. And then he rolled off, another big touchdown run in the NFC Championship game. So that's the thing that the Chiefs have to keep from happening. And on both sides, really, is limiting the explosive plays, because those are the things that can make a difference, especially in important games like this.
We're joined by longtime NFL reporter Howard Balzer here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk as we break down Super Bowl 59 coming up on Sunday between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. You can give Howard a follow on the X, or the Twitter as they call it, at HBalzer721. That's HBalzer721. Ed?
Hey, Howard, again, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it, too. When we look at this game, as we had these 2 weeks to prepare, I'm not a big advocate of having the time off between it, but I understand why the NFL does it. I think some players probably like it as a chance to kind of recuperate and take care of some injuries, but and hopefully make for a better game. As I look at this game, I'm not tired of Chief fatigue. I kind of hate that phrase, and I would argue with my co-host because he said he has it. I just think it's a situation where people don't like to see constant winners. My New York Yankees, for example. In baseball, people want to see them lose because of their tradition of always winning, though lately they haven't won a whole lot to begin with. But in this game, when the matchup first came, I thought the big thing will be offensive line play. You touched on it. And I think Philadelphia has the best offensive line in football, and arguably between Barkley and Henry, the best running back in football. So I kind of feel the Eagles have this advantage if you're going to talk about line play, though I think Kansas City line is very, very good too. Maybe maybe second best. But I think the difference maker really is Patrick Mahomes. Try to give me the analysis between the two quarterbacks in terms of what they're bringing Mahomes and Hurts to this field.
Well, first I'll say that the Eagles' offensive line is outstanding. There's no doubt about it. Led by Lane Johnson, they have to hope that Dickerson, who missed some time in the NFC Championship game, and then Cam Jurgens didn't start but had to come in because Dickerson got hurt. They have to hope that those guys are healthy. So that extra time really has helped them. But when you look at the two quarterbacks, I mean, they're both dynamic, and Hurts looks to run more than Patrick Mahomes does. And in fact, in that game 2 years ago, Hurts had 3 rushing touchdowns in the game and also had a 2-point conversion, which is what tied the game with about 5 minutes left. And so, but he's a dynamic player. Mahomes doesn't look to run as much, but as we've seen, when he does, he's very successful at it. And so both defenses have to be mindful of the quarterback running the football to go with all the other weapons that these teams have. And, for the Chiefs, I think one of the X factors is Kareem Hunt, who wasn't even signed by them until September when Pacheco, got hurt. And Hunt has been very productive for them in a second chance with the Chiefs. He hadn't even been with the team throughout the entire offseason in training camp after becoming a free agent with the Browns. And then he was signed because of injury, and he's been a big plus for them. Xavier Worthy, their first-round receiver, has gotten better and better as the season has gone on. And you never know what veterans like DeAndre Hopkins and Marquise Hollywood Brown will contribute. And so there's a lot of weapons on both sides. You mentioned Barkley with the Eagles, and you also have those excellent receivers, Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. So a lot of, bottom line is this. We are a quarterback-dominated analysis crowd. And it always comes down to the quarterback. Oh, he did this or he did that. But you don't see quarterbacks be successful unless they have the supporting cast. And both these guys have that. And one other note on that, interestingly, earlier this week, Patrick Mahomes was asked a question about it. Is there a game that keeps you up at night from your career? And he said, oh, that's an easy one. It was the Super Bowl against the Buccaneers when he was running for his life the entire game. And one of the big reason was that they were playing with backup left and right tackles in that game. And they could not keep the Buccaneers away from him. And that was a big reason why they lost by 22 points. So that's a classic example of you better have that support for the quarterback if you want to have success, especially when you're playing against very good defenses. And there you go with Vic Fangio, the coordinator in the Eagles, Steve Spagnuolo, who set a record last year for championships won by a coordinator, offensive or defensive, with 4, and now he's going for 5. So there's a lot of good games within a game that are a part of this on Sunday.
Ed?
Well, also, Howard, in coming into this game, a lot has been made too on the defensive side. When we look at the defensive side, the Chiefs kind of known as a team that can score a lot of points, but they're going to give up a lot of points. I think the over and under on this game was like a 48.5. And of course, when they played a couple of years ago, it was well over 70 points. I'm surprised that the over and under is 48.5. I thought it would be, I thought maybe 55, 56, and maybe it'll go up, but it won't go up that much in one day. Is this because maybe the Chiefs' defense is as strong as Philadelphia's, or who knows why they put the bet at 48.5?
I think that it's probably a combination of factors. Certainly the defenses are a part of it. The Chiefs have not been as high-scoring a team, this season as they have been in recent years, so that might play into it. But let's always remember in terms of the line that when, everyone always says, well, this is what Las Vegas says. And yes, Las Vegas sets the line to begin with, but then it will move in either direction depending on what the public bets. And so when the line stays relatively the same, that means that they're getting equal betting on both sides. And so that's what the public is saying about this game. Now, as you said, a lot of times it can move in the last 24 hours before the game because you have what they refer to as the smart money that waits until the very end to see what the line is going to be before deciding what to do. And that itself can move it even on game day. And so we could see some of that on Sunday. But I think the public has basically said up till now that they like the line pretty much, even though it's moved a little bit, because it's all adjusted by how the betting comes in. But I think it'll probably go over. I would think that would be the case. Turnovers certainly affect it. But I think that, when you look at that Chiefs-Bills game, what they have, 61 in that game. And so I think that this one, because of all the offensive weapons, as good as the defenses are, it's going to be tough to keep the other team from scoring points, I think. I'm not saying it's going to be crazy high scoring, but I think certainly it would go over that, 45 to 48 range.
Well, and the other thing, too, when we get to these type of games, championship games, big games during the season, I'm always one that says after everybody's, exhausted the offense, the defense, the line play, the quarterback play, special teams come into play. And I think these are – I haven't looked at the statistics, but if my memory gets me right, I think they're two of the better special team units out there, especially Philadelphia. Any assessment on your part on, because we really tear this game apart, special team play?
Yeah, it definitely will have a factor, and it's often not talked about in the run-up to games, but it's obviously a very important facet of teams. And the Eagles kicker Elliott he's had some inconsistencies this year, so you never know what'll happen in a game like this. But that's one thing that could keep the score down. And there's so many things like the red zone and big plays and all that. Do the teams have to settle for field goals instead of touchdowns? Obviously, that can keep the score down. Third down play. The Chiefs are one of the best, if not the best, third down teams in the league. But the Eagles' defense is one of the best third down defenses in the league. So you have all those different things going against each other, which who can say which one will get the upper hand on the other in this game? But any and all of those things will have a determining factor about how it all ends.
We're joined by Howard Balzer. He's a longtime NFL reporter covering the Super Bowl for more than 40 years. You can follow him on the X or Twitter at hbalzer721. He also does work for Sirius XM NFL Radio, Cards NFL reporter for Cards Wire, and, of course, the Hall of Fame selector. We'll get his thoughts on the Hall of Fame class before we let him run here at 757 Saturday Sports Talk on CoVA Sports TV, where we have a couple of local players from our area in the 757 playing in the game, and Josh Sweat and Oscar Smith, alum from Chesapeake for the Eagles on that defensive line, and Derrick Nnadi on the defensive line for the Chiefs out of Ocean Lakes High School in Virginia Beach. Before we let you run it, Howard, and you've been great breaking this down for us. You got a pick for us and an MVP for the game?
I've been asked that a lot, and you mentioned my association with Lindy's, and so in a little bit, he does, in addition to the magazine that I work on, the Preview magazine that comes out every year in May. He is basically in a very difficult print world. He has basically stayed in business over the last 10 to 20 years by doing special magazines right after championships. And it's all put together, ready to go. And then if the team that he is, picked to have a magazine on wins, then obviously it goes to the printer on Monday after the game. And so there will be a magazine for the Eagles if they win. So as being a part of Lindy's on the business side of things, I certainly would like to see the Eagles advance because that's good for me and good for the business. Right. The thing with picking the Eagles, and I certainly think they have a good chance of winning this game, but I've said this all week, is that if you pick the Eagles to win, then you're picking the Chiefs to lose. And that's the hard thing to wrap your arms around, because this team just always seems to find ways to win games. And we've seen it time after time after time. And the game against Buffalo is a perfect example. The game against the Eagles 2 years ago is a perfect example. An amazing stat, guys, is that the Eagles this season, counting the playoffs, are 12-0 in one-score games, undefeated in one-score games. And going back to last year, they have won 17 consecutive one-score games. So when I wrap my arms around who I think will win, I always come up with the Chiefs getting that repeat. But I'll certainly enjoy being wrong if the Eagles win, and that means we at Lindy's have a magazine for all the Eagles fans to buy after the game.
Okay. Fair enough. I can take it. And I'll get you on this one. I know you're on the Hall of Fame selection committee. Tell me about what you think of this class. Eric Allen, Jared Allen, Antonio Gates, Sterling Sharp, the media making more about why Eli Manning didn't get in. He certainly has chances in the future to get in. What do you think of the class here and just sort of the your reaction from it?
Well, the class is very strong. The guys that got in are all deserving. And I say it every year that you can make a case for all 15 of the finalists would be deserving entrants in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I almost hate this saying what I'm going to say next, because each year we always seem to hear how whoever gets in, there's a lot of talk about, well, who didn't? And that most of the time comes from the fan bases of different players saying their guy got snubbed and all that. The thing about this year, though, that people need to be aware of that I don't think a lot are, is that it's the smallest class that the Hall of Fame has had, with 4 going in 2 decades. And that's because the Hall of Fame changed the process this year that made it harder for players to get in. And I wonder if that's the best way of doing this. I think, the last 20 years, there's been 5 modern day players that have been elected. This year, we only had 3. And so that means 2 deserving players, you could argue, were kept out that should have been in. And I think that I really question why this process occurred. And they had a minimum of 4 could be the class, counting the seniors and the coach and the contributor, and a maximum of 8. Well, they got the minimum of 4. And Sterling Sharp should have happened a long time ago, probably. But there were 2 other seniors. There was a coach, Mike Holmgren, who was part of the 5, and Ralph Hay, who was a founder of the National Football League in Canton in 1920. And out of that group of 5 guys, we only had 1 go in. And so I question the process. And to me, that doesn't take away from the guys who got in, because they were deserving and they got the votes. But I just was not a fan of them changing the process this year to end up with a smaller class than it normally is that will be enshrined in Canton in early August.
I'm sure we'll get you back on sometime in the offseason to talk more about the process in the Hall of Fame and also promote all that you have going on with Lindy's. But I'm with you 1,000%, by the way. Sterling Sharp, I'm thrilled that he got in finally, long overdue. People don't realize how great he was. And if not for the injuries, he would have had even more unbelievable numbers with some of those all-time great receivers like your Jerry Rices, your Art Monks, your Chris Carters, and the list goes on and on. But Howard, thank you so much for coming on the show today. We've taken you a little bit over the time we promised. But again, check out his work, Lindy's Magazine, Sirius XM NFL Radio. Get the book. I've been reading it for more than 20 years. You do a fantastic job. Enjoy the big game on Sunday, and we'll talk down the road.
Sounds good, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks.
You bet.
Thanks, Howard.
Balzer, our guest here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk, as we break down Chiefs and Eagles with you. We'll come back and do our picks, close out this edition of the program. It is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Interact with us here on CoVA Sports TV. But again, let's hear a word from some of the sponsors and make it possible for us to broadcast with you each and every Saturday right here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk.
What makes a life a good one? Is it our adventures? Or the friends we find along the way? Is it the challenges we conquer together? Maybe it's the people's lives we touch every single day. So, what makes a life a good one? You'll have to figure that one out for yourself.
For any athlete, making it to the top sometimes comes with a few steps back. That's why parents count on CHKD Sports Medicine, advanced diagnostics, treatment, and rehabilitation for sports injuries, just for young athletes like yours. With convenient locations across Hampton Roads and a whole team of experts here to keep your favorite player at the top of their game. CHKD Sports Medicine. Learn more at chkd.org or call the CHKD Sports Injury Hotline.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. You need John Maynard. PFP, LUTCF, EA, all those initials behind his name mean he's qualified to work on your taxes. He's an ATA, accredited tax advisor. He's an ATP, accredited tax preparer. He's a fellow at NTPI, the National Tax Practice Institute. And if all that weren't enough, he's also been voted the best of Norfolk and the best of Virginia Beach Awards. John Maynard has been professionally trained in tax preparation and representation. He brings to the table over 30 years' experience in federal and state returns. He delivers personalized, one-on-one service, and he's a certified electronic filer. The IRS likes electronic filers. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service, 455-6763.
Did you know that the minimum limits in Virginia are $30,000? $30,000 is a lot of money on an individual basis, but if you're involved in a personal injury matter, that's not enough. Here at Williams-Deloitte, we're happy to provide a consultation on the amount of coverage you have in your vehicle. It can be confusing. Not many people understand it. You know you need to have it, but do you have enough? Give us a call today at 757-547-5555 so we can help you prepare in the case of an automobile accident or any other personal injury matter that you or your family may find yourself in.
I grew up here. I know this town. I know the people here. More important, they know me. As a banker at Town Bank, we become part of the communities we serve. The people who bank with us, our members, know us. When you bank with Town Bank, you'll know your banker. You'll know you can reach us, and you'll know we're here for you.
Okay, I'm here with Hopewell head basketball coach Elvin Edmonds. His Blue Devils win at 63-56 over Verona in the Coaches for the Cure event at the Henrico Sports and Event Center in Richmond. Coach, very impressive win, 27 points to begin the game in that first quarter. What did you see in terms of setting the tone against a very athletic Verona group?
Yeah, we came out motivated, and we've been having slow starts, so we've been working on with being intentional and committing to just being intentional and focusing and having just attention to details and things of that nature. So we was able to execute and got some good looks, and fortunately we was able to knock them down.
Tell you what, James Jordan really is a factor in the paint there. We've seen just how physically built he is. Did you feel like he set a physicality tone at the early going?
Probably, since the Christmas break, man, he's really been playing well. Early in the season, he had a lot of double teams, but teams now have to choose their poison between Deshaun Spellman, Nick Bird, or Jamis. So, he's been sitting a lot of one-on-one, and he's been taking advantage of it.
Oh, we know about Jordan, obviously Nick Bird being on your team's last couple of seasons. Spellman, a newcomer for you. Tell me what he's brought in terms of the athletic package. 23 points today, and he really had some impressive moments.
Yeah, and that was kind of a quiet 23, but Deshaun, man, he's a scorer. He walks in the gym, he's averaging 18 points or so a game, and chipping in with 6 or 7 rebounds, but he has that almost, I don't say automatic offense, but he's very consistent, and that's what we needed. So he has consistency, but not only that, he has that length, on the defensive end. So those are things that he helps us with.
Verona cut the gap a couple of times, I think, to 2 points. I think you had a quick 7-0 spurt, which included a John Meese jam. Nick had a layup. Spellman hit a 3. How pleasing was it for you to see your guys respond from a little bit of a run that they put at you guys?
Yeah. We played Stewart last Saturday, and they made a run, and we weren't able to overcome it. We weren't able to make shots. So, I told the guys, the key to coming back or even putting the team away is just maintaining your composure. So we never panic. So that was the key to, overcoming their run, because basketball is a game of runs. Yeah. So, they kept their composure, executed, and, played through some physicality. So it was great to see them overcome that.
Come on, for let you run. Let's hit on Bird for a second. 8 assists today to go with those clutch free throws down the stretch. That's got to be comforting for you as a coach to know you have a guy to go to the line, hit the free throws, but also get his teammates involved like that.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Be honest with you, Nick, last year we depended on him doing a lot of scoring. Tough games, he had to be Superman, and this year he's trusting the new additions with Deshaun Stefan Cherry and Dominic Coleman. So he's trusting those guys, so he has some help. And he's taking advantage by finding those guys. And not only that, he's picking his spots. I don't know how many points he had tonight, but probably 16, 18.
I think it was 18, yeah.
Yeah, so, Nick is, he's our guy that keeps it all together. And he has to be an Iron Man.
Sure.
He has to play 32 minutes. So he's definitely key to our success.
Last time, thank you for your time. I wouldn't call this a turn the corner win because you guys knew how good you were, and you can play with the Veron as well. You played John Marshall close. You're used to playing in big spots, state tournament, competing for the championship. We might see you in Northside again where you have some history with.
Yes.
Tell me about this group, the expectations, and what's it going to take to be one of those teams in the mix, having a chance to be the last team standing come March at the Siegel Center.
Yeah. So it's funny. I told him every game now has a playoff implication. Likelihood, we battling probably for second place in the region with
New Kent, Lake Taylor.
New Kent, it doesn't look like they may, anyone be able to overcome it.
Sure.
So I told them every game has playoff implications considering our region now, the highest seed gets to play at home.
Do you like that or no? It's got some mixed feelings to it?
Some mixed feelings.
Okay.
If you got the number one seed, you love it.
Yeah.
But if you got to go on the road, you're playing in a hostile environment, but it's sports. We all had the same opportunities to secure the number one seed, so fair is fair. But you have Meridian playing well, Skyline, Northside, so we definitely paying attention to the playoff picture. So every game going forward, every possession, every detail matters. So everything has a playoff implication. So they took advantage of it tonight. So it was a good win.
Class 3 is deep in Hopewell, one of those contenders. Thank you so much. Enjoy watching your team play and hope to see you soon.
Thank you, sir.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
All right, so you heard from Elvin Edmonds, head basketball coach of the Hopewell Blue Devils. That's a team, Ed, that I know you're very high on in Class 3. Could very well run into, say, a Northside at the Siegel Center next month, as we're calling the Class 3 championship on the NFHS network.
First time this year I got a chance to see Hopewell. Impressed with them.
Mm-hmm.
Strong at every position. Good coaching. He makes the right adjustments, and they're a factor. Now we've seen New Kent too. I would take Hopewell over New Kent on a head-to-head battle. I've not seen Northside except when they won the state title last year, and I don't think I would put any pennies down against Northside against anybody right now. But a Northside Hopewell matchup would, to me, have the implications of a one of those great games. You would hope that everything it's built up to be would come through, but I think it would be one of those great games in terms of how those teams play. Northside's got those guards, are very, very strong, and they play stingy defense. So that would be a great matchup. Now, I know New Kent's undefeated. We saw them. I respect what they've done. Coach Morris has done a great job with that squad, but I don't think they have the overall weapons that a Hopewell and a Northside have had.
Yeah, I think Northside's a little bit better. I've got Hopewell third in our Class 3 top 10, right behind Meridian, who's unbeaten at number 2, and then number 1 is Northside, the two-time defending champs, led by Michael Harvey, North Carolina A&T football signee, who dazzled on the hoops hardwood the last couple of years in the title game, and Cy Hardy, that unflappable point guard as well for Billy Pope's Vikings. I want to get to something. We don't have a ton of time for you to dive in with a deep dive. We can dive in it maybe a little bit more next week, as there will be an announcement that follows that, which I'll get to in a second. But I'm sure you saw that President Donald Trump signed an executive order this past week prohibiting transgender women and girls from competing in female sports. The measure, called the No Men and Women Sports Executive Order, is the fourth executive order that target transgender people he signed since he took over office January 20th. And Governor Youngkin, by the way, as we put it up on the screen now, his tweet, for folks that haven't seen it: biological boys should not be competing against girls. This is just common sense. The Virginia High School League must change course immediately, just like the NCAA. Virginia schools are at risk of losing millions of dollars in federal school funding if the VHSL doesn't comply with President Trump's executive order protecting girls' sports. Now, I know the Virginia High School League spokesman, Mike McCall, was contacted by a lot of the different media outlets in regards to this, and he told people that I should say the folks that reached out, that as of today, which was yesterday, nothing's changed, but they will revisit this. And I believe the exact quote he gave: the progress index up in Richmond, by the way, is As I look for it now, is the VHSL will always follow the law. We are doing nothing in defiance of the executive order. But I just want to get your quick reaction to this. I'm sure you have an opinion that you can delve in, like I said, with more extended time. But what's your quick reaction to this?
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think I could give a reaction to, because some of the stuff that Trump is doing right now, it blows my mind. It does blow my mind, but it does. He's making these executive orders like crazy, and he's not hit where it needs to be done on these ridiculous grocery prices, food prices, gas prices.
That's another topic for another time in terms of other issues. I just want to know what you thought specifically.
Right. But what I'm saying, my thing is, for him to sign this executive order, which is going to lead to a host of lawsuits all over the country, let alone the state of Virginia, is ridiculous. Now, do transgenders play with the women? I can't really answer that right now. It's kind of a new field that more has to be looked at. They got to play somewhere. You got to put them somewhere. They're not going to create a third. Maybe they say, well, they just stay with biologically how you were born biologically. That's where you have to compete. That's probably what they're leaning towards.
But you and I have talked about before, off air, maybe not on air, that this was coming down the pike one day, that there would be a teenage, let's just say, hypothetically, or a teenage boy who was not performing, and people say this is not going to happen, but we're now in this world now where it does happen, is not performing well on the boys basketball team and undergoes a gender change and now gets on the girls basketball team. And there are people that don't believe that's right. And I think people are entitled to their opinion on either way. But this is something you could see coming from a mile away years ago.
Yeah, I just didn't think it would get to the presidential office where an executive order would do something with this. I
think the Olympics, where we had some swimmers, I think it took on a different feel with that. And now it's trickling down to lower levels, such as in collegiate and high school sports.
Yeah, and the changing of gender is much bigger than I don't think anybody's going to switch for sport reason. I think it's much bigger than that. And that's why I would not touch it right now, because I'm not sure where I lie on this situation. I just don't think an executive order was needed. That's my point. You leave that up to state associations, but
that's fair. That's your feeling. That's a fair feeling to have. I'm not. Again, we'll have to have more time on this. I think something had to be done. I don't know if the executive order was right, and I also don't feel. Again, I have no problem with transgenders wanting to compete in sports, but I do feel there are some parents, and I do feel if I was a parent of a kid, I would have a certain way I feel if someone changed genders and they're competing against my son or daughter. It could be either sport in any sport. I would have some strong feelings about that feel like it's an unfair playing surface and advantage.
Yeah, that has a lot to do with it too. If you have a son or daughter that is playing, and you feel that there's a distinct advantage, you're going to have a much more stronger feeling on it than maybe I have right now. Obviously, not having any kids playing it, that I don't look at it from that perspective. I just look at it as today's world is very different and ever changing. And how do we change the different aspects of? The big topic was public bathrooms. What bathrooms you use. Now we're into the sport part of it. It does need to be addressed, but I'm just not sure the executive order is the way to go.
Let's finish up on this before we go to break. Just so is the time ticking on the Virginia High School League to do something, or do you think that they should wait this out? If you were them, what's kind of your view of this? Do you have a feeling?
My gut feeling?
Yeah.
The VHSL doesn't want to have anything to do with lawsuits.
Sure.
So my thing is, I would think they are going to conform to the executive order, because that's why the executive order is written, that everybody has to follow it. That's the dictatorship part of Trump. That that's what I said, and now you're going to follow it. Okay. So that's just how I look at it.
Okay.
But it's a whole. There's more to it. But I'm on the side of the exec. Why he's signing all these executive orders right now, and missing the whole point of what needs to be really addressed in this country. To me, where transgenders play ranks way lower than the issues we have in this country affecting older people and people in general who are really, really struggling with situations that do not need to be struggled for that can easily be fixed with an executive order.
That's fair if you feel that way. That's fair. We'll come back with more, including our NFL picks to close out this edition of the program. It is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. We're on the X. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook, IG, all those different platforms. Let us know what you think. You can always weigh in with your prediction as well. Our man Keith has got the Eagles winning 27-21. Our man Woodrow tuning in, watching. He was surprised at that Woodside Denby score, as were a lot of people. But again, give us your Super Bowl 59 pick with an MVP selection, and we'll pop you up on the screen if you have one right here on CoVA Sports TV. So we'll come back. The last segment right here on this particular Saturday, the 8th of February. Right here, you're watching CoVA Sports TV.
Hi, this is Wayne Williams of Williams Deloach. I'm an experienced personal injury attorney, and I hope you don't need my services because I certainly don't like to see people injured on a daily basis. But in preparation for that unfortunate situation, your insurance coverage is very vital to your case. Give me a call today. I'd be happy to discuss your insurance situation for you and your family. That's the most protection you have, and you want to have that ahead of time.
What is more? Is it more reps, more strength, more stamina? We say it's all of that, but it's greater than just what's in the mirror. It's about improving your mental and physical health. More is a feeling of achievement, fulfillment, confidence. It's looking better, feeling better, being better, and it's our mission to get you there. Because here, you are more. One Life Fitness.
Portco is your local nonprofit organization dedicated to economic empowerment through employment for people with disabilities. We focus on abilities, not limitations, providing on-the-job vocational support. Find your pathway to employment. Contact us or learn more at portco.org.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
What's up at DQ? Oh, just the best deal ever. The $7 bacon cheeseburger meal deal. Bacon cheeseburger, fries, drink, and a sundae. No time to be modest. It's all full size for just $7. Right now at DQ. Happy tastes good.
Put them on the free throw line or allow second chance points. How do you address that with your team in the locker room?
How do I address it? How do I address it? You don't address it. This is what you get when you come down here. The game was called one way and then changed. Nothing else changed. We didn't change. Nothing else changed.
Thank you, Coach.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
I think Gino Auriemma took Holly Rowe's question about athletes who's transgender in the VHSL like Ed Young took mine. No, you know what? Nothing changed. This is what changed. You all right up like Gino, Ed.
I thought for a second somebody was interviewing me.
Yeah, that was I was Holly Rowe, and you were Gino. Was that last segment was? Yeah, pretty much.
That's a good.
Yeah, pretty much it was. You were Gino, I was Holly Rowe.
You interviewers hit the wrong part, right topic, but wrong subject matter. That was the key there. So, but Gino,
wait, on her question or on my question or both?
Both.
Oh, okay.
Holly's a veteran reporter. She knows better. Gino's hot. Don't ask him questions because you know.
Well, you have to. It's part of the deal. They come over for the. What are you going to say, Gino? What's your dinner plans tonight? Where you go? Like, what you got to ask something?
But see, some of you hardcore reporters, you see something like that and say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to get him now because he's going to say something outlandish," and really you're going to get him in trouble. Now, I don't think what he said would be anything in trouble. Now, I know back in the day, some Bobby Knight quick quotes were not good to have at halftime.
Hey, well, you got riled up about that. Can I get riled about something real quick? Can I get riled up?
No, we don't have time now. Come on, we got
to just for a second. We've got really good friends at the local newspaper, so I'm not trying to bash any of the good friends we have. But we need to stop with this narrative. Last night, Oscar Smith beat Kings Fork. I was not there. I watched some of it on the NFHS network. I was feeling a little bit under the weather. I'm feeling better, a little bit better today. But 68-59, Tigers beat the Bulldogs and snapped 11-game winning streak for Kings Fork. But they used the phrase upset and shock. Oscar Smith beating Kings Fork last night. We got to stop this. It's not an upset or shock. I know we're trying to sell papers and get, clickbait, headlines, attention. That's not an upset or a shock, Ed. You and I both know that. That's not an upset or shock. Oscar Smith winning that game. That was an even Steven game. Could have gone either way going in. And when you're number one in the state like Oscar Smith was in Class 6, you winning the game is not an upset unless you're playing a top 50 team or top 100 team in the country. That is not an upset or a shock. So let's watch that right now.
I'm agree with you on that. I didn't see that score. Yeah. And I would say
it's not an upset or shock.
Right. If you would ask me ahead of time who wins that game, I'm picking Smith.
It's not an upset or shock.
Right.
Sorry.
It's not. It's not a shocking upset. So I'm not sure who came up with that title, but
probably again, not it's not at fault or blame of our good friend Larry Rabama, who comes on CoVA Sports TV, been one of those before. It's probably one of the people at the desk or something. But someone needs that little conversation. Not an upset or shock. Okay, let's just get it out there. Okay, that's all I'm saying. So there you have it. And by the way, John Huffman tuning in. Anthony Lewis had a great game, 24 points. I watched 3 or 4 games on the NFHS last night. That was one of them. Also had on Nelson County and Dan River. Went to overtime. Nelson County pulling it out. And some other games as well as the St. John's and UConn game on my TV. But it is now time, since we are short for time, and I have to get rolling to Chartway Arena for our Play for K Mac and Cheese Smackdown game with the ODU women's basketball team taking on the Toledo Rockets. If you want to tune into that, it's on the radio side of things. You know where to find it. And ODUsports.com has the links for you as well. We have Super Bowl 59 picks to make, prop picks and picks in general. So let's fire it up here and show you the regular season tally. Ed likes to brag about that. Well, he liked to brag about that until he was out of the lead. He was in the lead for just a little bit, and then he lost the lead. So now it's Bruce Pearl, regular season champ. Yours truly was winning the playoffs, but the playoff records just by a whisker over Bruce and Ed, 6-3 to 5-4 for those two gentlemen. And we look at the conference championship round, and we take a bow to one Edward V. Young because he was a perfect 3-0 2 weeks ago with KC minus the 1.5, a winner under protest, by the way, under protest. Josh Allen got the first down not once, but twice. Protest. Over 48.5 with the Bills and the Chiefs. I almost said the Ravens and the Chiefs. Bills and the Chiefs. And he had minus the 6.5 with Philadelphia, which won comfortably. 55-23 of the Commanders, the Commies, the football team, whatever they're called these days. So 3-0 for Edward. I was 2-1. Bills plus 1.5 did not come through as they lost 32-29. Meanwhile, I did win on over 223.5 for passing yards for Daniels. Jane Daniels got me there with 255, and Philly minus the 6.5 won as well. Brucey boy, Mr. Pearl of the Virginia Beach Mustangs was 1-2. He had the over 48.5 in Bills Chiefs. That won, but he lost on Bills plus 1.5 and lost on Washington plus the 6.5. So there's all the picks. I should say the standings of the picks. Let's give you Bruce's picks real quick before Ed jumps in here with his selections. What do you think of these, Ed? Bruce's Super Bowl pick.
You got Kansas City 27-24. Okay. Hurts gets at least one rushing touchdown. Okay. And over 37. I think he's going to win all of those. The only one that I can question now. Let's confirm something, clarify something. If Kansas City wins the game 32-24, Bruce loses, or does he win because he picked Kansas City? Does he have to have the exact score?
No. You can. We're just asking for a winner. Just asking for a winner, and obviously with that winner, it's to cover the spread, which right now is currently 1.5. So you can almost change it to minus 1.5, or Chiefs outright win. Now if they win by 1, we'll have to figure out how that differentiates between all of us here. But I'll let you go first in our head-to-head battle. What do you got?
Well, I have Kansas City winning.
What's your score?
36-28.
36-28 is Ed Young's score. You got an MVP for us too, by the way? Mahomes? Okay. What's your other two picks? You got a couple props picks. You want to go heads or tails? We know you love heads or tails.
Well, the prop pick I would go on that one. I think I put down $1 or $2 with head. I'm going heads.
You're going heads. Okay. Do you have any more picks for us? Or it's my turn, isn't it, to take a pick since you went with your first? I'm going to go over 48.5 with KC and Philly. You heard Howard Balzer talk about it with us, and everybody likes this. I think it's going to be a shootout type of game, potentially similar to a couple years ago, maybe not quite as a high scoring. I'm going to go with my second selection to be anytime touchdown plus 130. Anytime touchdown for Travis Kelce plus 130. I will tell you as we get to my final pick with the score why I'm going with that. And you want to take one more here? Or you have two more?
I'm just going to go over also. I think it's
you like the over 48.5. Okay. No other clever props for us. Just those three. You going to stick with that or anything else?
No, I didn't really get into anything crazy.
That's fine.
I like your.
I'll give you heads over 48.5 and KC minus the 1.5. Does that work?
Yeah, that works.
Okay. There's your Ed Young parlay. My last pick is longest field goal plus 112 for the Eagles. You heard Howard talk about Jake Elliott being a little shaky. He might miss an extra point in this game, but I think he will hit a field goal from 50 plus. I'm not sure Butker will. So thus take the plus 112 for the Eagles to have the longest field goal in the ball game. So there you have it. My score prediction, I'm going KC 31, Philly 28. Philly will be up in this football game by 2 touchdowns, and KC will come roaring back down 28-24. They can't kick a field goal to go overtime, and on the very last play of the game, Mahomes will drop back, throw it in the corner of the end zone, maybe the middle of the end zone, to none other than Travis Kelce, who will haul in a juggling catch to win the Super Bowl. He will then, after the game, propose to Taylor Swift.
I knew you were going there.
Say yes. She will say yes. He will retire and ride off into the sunset as a not one, not two, but 4-time Super Bowl champion, 3 in a row. That is how the NFL season comes to an end.
I knew you were going to go there. That's the
got it all figured out. Got it all figured out, folks. That is how it comes to an end.
That's being the fool in the pool stuff right there. That's where this.
Oh, it's coming this spring. Woodrow's waiting for it. Woodrow's watching it. He's among the many. I'm gonna make Woodrow the president of the Hatfield Fool in the Pool Club. He's gonna be the president, and then I'll get Keith as the vice president, and we'll figure out who the Secretary of Defense is. But that'll be my little committee of the Fool in the Pool Club. There we go.
Throw you all in there at the same time.
No,
I'm gonna drop the toaster plugged in. I'm gonna drop the toaster.
Oh, don't do that! Don't do that! It's so wrong of you.
Yeah, I couldn't do that I couldn't do that for Woody and
Keith, but you could do it for me. Yeah, you would love to see.
If everybody else get out, but you can.
Yeah. El Presidente. You're right, Woodrow. And by the way, you must have been watching Diagnosis Murder yesterday on the Hallmark Channel because they had that episode with the lady getting. I see what you've been watching there, in the hotel down there. Don't lie.
I'm not. That's the only thing I've watched on TV the last couple of days strictly games, just games. The toaster in the bathtub is one of the way in those old murder mystery movies.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Murder, She Wrote, and Diagnosis Murder. Dick Van Dyke and Angela Lansbury. Yeah, I know what you've been watching.
No, I'm not.
And then we put you. We send you away because you're the bad guy that did it all. Actually, this particular episode, it was I think it was Vicky Lawrence was the bad gal in the episode. I forget. I'm losing my mind. We got to go because I have a women's basketball game to call. Enjoy Super Sunday, Edward, with your Super Bowl party and all the chips and stuff. And we'll do it again next week.
No parties, no invites, so I just gonna have to sit at home and discuss the game with the dog. I guess I got nobody invited us. We threw it out there to invite us to your Super Bowl party. Matt and I would bring make it a worthwhile party, but nobody invited us, so that's the way it is.
Well, we'll have to have you hang out with Rob Ryan. As we say so long, you can watch what he said at his recent presser.
Watch where we finish this year. This guy is special. He's special. He knows how to get it done. He's a great communicator, great teacher. He's fun to be around. He makes everybody better. including the coaches. And, we'll see. I'm looking forward for the, spring ball or whatever. I can't wait. We're going to go against the best. Oh, good. Bring it on. Let's see. I can't wait to see that little JUCO kid from Hutch. Bam! We're going to get after his little butt. But anyway, it'll be great. We're excited. And I saw the Mayava guy. I coached his uncle. I hated that kid when I first saw him. A USC kid, a little captain. Remember, he could walk under this table right here. Little guy. And we draft this little runt. I'm like, oh, man. This guy, I was all over this kid during the OTAs. Like, man, this guy, man, you got to run to cover guy. Anyway, so then I'm like, hey, guys, Sweet Live is going on vacation with the family, going out to Hawaii, going to Maui. I've never been to Maui. I run things in Oahu, but I'm going to go to Maui. He's like, hey, Rob, you get in any kind of trouble now, you just tell him you know Kalooks. I'm like, man, yeah, I'm going to tell him I know Kalooks. Get the hell out of here. Walk out there, do the usual. Got me and the wife there. Oh, we're going to have a romantic evening. Go out there, no rent-a-car. What do you mean? You never called for the rent-a-car? I told you she's Greek. I'm like, yeah, they must have lost it. So, of course, I forgot to call. Now they're out of cars. I'm in Maui. I got no car. So what do? I know Kalooks. I got a car. Oh, you know Kalooks? Swear to God, hand to God, true story. I got a van. I'm like, yeah, Kalooks, my man. Anyway, I ended up loving the kid. He was, oh, man, is he mean as a rattlesnake. And there was a reason why that kid was captain with all those first-round draft choices. I love that guy. Ended up, looks can be deceiving.